Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, a show where you come for your rambling, geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's the one and only DL!
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches, amigo.
Yes.
¿Cómo estás?
Well, my flight's been canceled, as we've talked about.
So Spanish isn't... We're not doing Spanish for this
Oh,
episode.
no, it was just the intro.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Good to know, because
I don't know how to say my... Mi avion.
Avion. Oh, you sound kind of French then.
Yeah, because I'm very confused.
You are.
Gonna...
So your flight's been cancelled. You're meant to be going to Melbourne for work tomorrow,
this
right?
is like you 4 weeks ago or whatever
Oh,
it
man,
was.
fuck, that was awful.
And this is me now. And
you never learnt your own lesson. You were the one giving me shit for
I'm
that.
just telling you it happens, man. You can't control it. I was just telling you, get ready because it's going to be shitty. What I was telling you is actually that there's no way your flight would go out on time.
Yeah,
and
that's actually true.
I'm correct.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you. It probably wasn't. I was 45
again.
minutes delayed.
Anyway, so that'll be fun. A little 4:30 wake-up call.
Yay!
Yeah.
But I'm so refreshed and delightful. I've just got back from holiday myself,
Yeah,
so
fuck you, man.
I'm the opposite to you right now.
Fuck, you'll last a week.
Not even a week, man. I got thrown headfirst into work. I got back on Monday, and before the day had even started, my salesperson was calling me, being like, "Hey, can we catch up?" And I'm like, "It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Stop, please stop."
No.
Yeah, no, but man, holiday was delightful. This is the most tanned I've been in 4 years. It's amazing.
Which is
not much.
Impressive.
Not a huge
Impressively
amount of
absent.
Yeah, I tried.
You got some color. I wouldn't call it tan.
I mean, compare me
It's
to my
not-
partner, who
It's
is
not a sheet.
literally of Pakistani heritage.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna live up to that.
Yeah,
man. Come on, I look
the
ridiculous. next to
contrast
her.
there is tough.
It's like yin and yang.
Yeah, fair call.
How are you, mate? What's been going on?
Oh man, I'm doing my best, fighting the battle, fighting the good fight.
Find the good fight, not the bad fight.
You never want to fight the bad fight,
I mean, you kind of do sometimes.
I guess. You're a bad guy.
You're a bad guy.
What have I been up to, man? I've been I'm trying to dude. I saved our assignment for today until the last minute, mainly because there's so much good stuff on, and I just couldn't bring myself to after such a tough week not watch it. So
well, before we get into that, then there's going to be time codes in the description. Feel free to jump around. We're going to talk a bit about what we've been doing, what we recommend watching right now. Then we'll jump into a little bit of news, and then we're going to talk about our main topic, which for once I'm not that excited about talking about.
I mean, I just I'll reserve comment.
Okay, all right. Well, no, it's not that. It's so I'll give you the full spill later. But I actually saw this when I was far too young to watch this movie, and it's probably scarred me a little bit for the rest of my life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Scarred you.
Way too young. I'll explain.
I guess there are some
creepy.
creepy. It depends how young.
So creepy. I was
some
like
creepy
5.
characters. Yeah, I mean,
That's too young. Anyway, what have you been up to, buddy? What have you been watching?
I'm slowly, compared to the way I speedily ran through the first 2 seasons of Deadwood, I'm slowly meandering my way through this season 3 because now I know the truth. I know.
Oh.
I was recommending to my friends in one of our threads. I was like, guys, you have to watch the show. It's so fucking good. And somebody's like, that's that show's doesn't have a proper ending, right?
Doesn't the movie end it?
Well, this is what I said, but he's like, it was one of those shows that it's like those tragic stories that critically acclaimed, but no one watched it, got canceled way too soon kind of thing. And I was like, I had a fear that was the case because there was only 3 seasons. I was like, why wouldn't they keep going, right? Apparently the movie does give it some closure, but my point is I was hoping that it wouldn't end on such a cliffhanger. I have a feeling now that it might.
Ooh, what if it does? You'll be devastated.
Yeah, I'd be super devo. So I'm taking my time there.
Nice.
I've been watching the new.
It's nice. It's nice when you can just slow it down a little bit because I feel like we have to force our way through stuff nowadays.
You know what I haven't been watching? Now that you say force our way through stuff,
please.
I haven't watched any of. There's 3 new Disney Plus shows.
Oh yeah,
I haven't watched a single one.
I'm forcing my way through She-Hulk at the moment, and I'm just not enjoying it.
I haven't even.
And it's not because of you get.
Don't even have a desire to.
You get these people on the internet who are like, it's not my MCU. It's just that I'm just not that into it. It's like the Ms. Marvel thing we talked about. It's not for me, and that's fine. And I'm giving it a go because I feel like there's going to be bits of it that might expand on the story.
Well,
overall.
there is a cameo,
and I love Wong.
Have you heard about the cameo?
Which one?
I don't want to ruin it.
I don't count. Probably.
Matthew Murdock or Matt Murdock. Or is
oh yeah, Daredevil.
Murdock?
Yeah, Daredevil.
What's his name?
What did you call him?
Is it Matthew or Michael?
Murder?
Is it Michael Murdock?
Matt Murdock.
Matt Murdock.
Yeah. Daredevil.
apparently in
We
it.
did it. We did it, guys. Hashtag save Daredevil. Go back to
What's
listen to all of
unclear-
our episodes.
Yeah, what's unclear to me though is will it be the same dude?
Well, interestingly, he came out in an interview just this week and said that.
I was going to
Well
use that as
done.
news. My bad.
Well done. You've just ruined. No, it's
yeah.
all right. I wasn't going to talk about that anyway.
Okay,
But he did say that it's actually a rebootuation,
Fuck
as
that,
as
dude.
we've coined that term.
Fuck that.
So
Why
it's
are you gonna
not-
have all this content and not use it?
Well, it's not a season 4. He says it's a season 1. So the Daredevil season that's coming out in a couple of years.
Yeah,
time.
it doesn't count. All the other
Who
stuff
knows?
doesn't count. So they're
Look-
not gonna have the same characters. Anyway,
Look, we're not talking about Daredevil. What we are talking about though is a show which might be sneaking its way back into my Mount Rushmore. And I'm calling it right now. I'm going to say I've been watching season 4 of Westworld.
wow.
And yeah, wow, exactly. I wasn't
Okay.
even going to watch it.
You-
I wasn't
this is-
even going to
this
watch
is a
it.
turn.
I'm flip-flopping like a salmon right now. I'm like,
just get into politics, mate.
well, let me explain to you, right? So, season 1 is literally like it is a Mount Rushmore of first seasons. of
That
TV
was
shows.
way easier to make, by the way.
Really?
The Mount Rushmore of single seasons of
Oh,
television.
so much easier.
Yeah.
So season 1 was great. Season 2 was kind of more of the same. It didn't really work as well. Threw out some stuff that was a bit confusing.
Too cerebral.
Yeah, but it was still pretty good, right? And then season 3, I sat there the whole time, and like you can say differently, but I sat there the whole time like, what is happening?
I still haven't finished.
Yeah,
So that
well,
goes to show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
However, in kind of like a reverse of the first, you know how season 1 led into season 2?
Yes.
You were like the end of season 1 sort of easily moved into season 2, whereas with this season 4 is explaining a lot about season 3 that you didn't understand. So a lot of things that I was like literally made no sense in season 3. I'm now like, hell, I get this. And
Yeah,
I really
but like,
that.
is it done in a way where it all makes sense at the 90th hour, like Tenant?
Nah.
So you
No,
lose,
it's
it
not.
loses the value. It's like,
No.
why did I watch the first 75%? You know, if I wasn't gonna have any value in it because I didn't understand anything. You know what I mean?
I think I like the characters as well, so
Okay.
it's easy to get into.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the characters who are remaining at the moment are some of the good ones,
Mm.
and they've reintroduced certain things, and I'm like, oh, that's genuinely interesting the way they're doing that. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. I highly recommend going and watching
I will.
Westworld.
I will.
But we did say last time we did one of these, we've taken a couple of weeks off.
Mm.
I actually dropped one of my YouTube videos as a bonus podcast in the middle there. Go and check us out on YouTube. We are Podcast Assemble. Did you have any thoughts about your Mount Rushmore? Because we did talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I did. I did have some thoughts on it. Are we gonna do that now? You want?
Well, give us a teaser. Maybe we do an episode on it. Give us a teaser.
Okay, so I have 2 Mount Rushmores. One is unfinished.
Ooh.
So I have single season,
Oh yeah,
Which
that's way easier.
which I made 6, and I realized Mount Rushmore is 4.
Way easier.
Good American.
Go on then. How many?
So, and I gotta figure out on the spot which one I'm gonna cut. True Detective season 1 for my single season.
Amazing season.
Westworld season 1.
Yep.
Ooh, which one do I cut? This is hard.
Why don't you say all
You're-
6 and I'll help you?
Okay, I know what you're gonna say.
Okay.
So I'm gonna piss you off into GOT season 6, and you laugh. But I actually looked up the IMDb scores. It's one of the highest ranked seasons of all 6.
Now, if you'd
So
watched...
now I'm not alone.
Hang on. If you'd watched my video around why I hate Game of Thrones, spoilers, I don't hate Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's great. The point of that season is, interestingly, it does have some of the highest rated episodes. However, it also has some of the lowest rated episodes. So realistically, the point is they just lent on the crutch of these big spectacle episodes. It's not.
I did
it's
watch
not
the
as-
video. I don't agree with that.
It's not as good as you think it is.
I don't agree with that. Actually, the average is the highest, and the lowest one is like an 8.1.
Nah, it's not. It's like a. I just think no. The lowest ones are in season 8, but it gets down.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets down to like 7.
You
It gets down to like
You always
7.
conflate season 7 and 8 with season 6. You don't realize they're separate seasons.
Nah, I still didn't
Season
like it.
6.
I watched season 6
bucks,
recently.
bro.
I
Season
watched
6
it.
bucks.
I literally watched it recently with my
Like,
partner. It's
I'll-
not that good.
Let me go through this with you real quick because I knew this was going to happen. I did this before. I showed up prepared. Alright.
It's in my YouTube video. I've done the research.
No, you're talking about. I remember in your thumbnail, you're like, oh yeah, they went on Spectacle and it was all season 7 and 8 images.
Sure. All right.
All I'm telling you, bro, is let me read these for you. Let me read these episodes, by the way, and let me read to you the rating. IMDb has the
That's
audio
helpful.
book. All right, so season 6, episode 1, 8.4. Episode 2.
Wait, are you doing IMDb? That's interesting because I
Yes.
did Rotten Tomatoes.
Episode 1, 8.4. Episode 2, 9.3. Episode 3, 8.6. Episode 4, 9.0. Episode 5, 9.7. Episode 6, 8.3. Episode 7, 8.4 or 8.5 with a Ian McShane, cameo. Episode 8, 8.3. Episode 9, 9.9. You know which one it is. Episode 10, 9.9.
Well, that's ironic because I don't actually go by IMDb ratings. Mine are actually Rotten Tomatoes ratings. So
Here he comes. Anyway, so that's one of my single season best. So
that's fair play. All right, if that's what you're into.
That's my third. And I would have to go with between Game of Thrones season 1, The Sopranos season 3, and Stranger Things season 1. I'm going with Sopranos season 3.
Wow, Sopranos season 3. What was the second one?
The other one I was debating between were Stranger Things season 1 and Game of Thrones season 1.
Oh, okay, all right. You can't have.
That's why I cut Game of Thrones. Yeah.
But I thought the point of that. Oh, you mean just a single
season?
I thought you meant the first season of. All right, damn. No, well, that changes everything.
Single season.
Well, Stranger Things is definitely one of mine. So it's probably going to be Stranger Things, True
Detective.
Pretty
damn good.
Yeah. And the first one you said that I've now forgotten already.
Westworld.
Yes, those are 3 of my 4 by like a country mile.
Yeah.
But there's, we'll talk a little bit about this more. Maybe we should do an episode on it.
I think we should do a proper Mount Rushmore, though.
I think we should.
That was single season. Fun. Let's do a proper one. I'll reserve mine because I haven't finished.
I literally have no idea. Like, I tell you what, we did have some correspondence on this from a friend of the show, Jordan, who said that his top Mount Rushmore show is all of Stranger Things. So
interesting.
Maybe, I really liked it.
It is good.
And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
It's a bit redundant, though, sometimes.
Yeah, well, I watched it back thinking that the second and third series slowed it down a bit, but it doesn't. It slaps.
I think the second season was great. The third season was great. The fourth...
The newest one. Towards the end, it got a bit long in the tooth.
Too long.
I mean, like, outside...
It was still good. It was still good.
You cut 30 minutes out of the last episode.
They cast really well. The acting's really good. Yeah, they should have killed someone, though.
What else have you been watching? We're way off track here.
The Lord of the Rings.
You've started watching
the first 2 episodes.
Please don't tell me anything I don't want to know. Just give...
It's terrible.
Okay, great. Good to know.
No, it's good.
I've heard mixed reviews. It's getting real mixed reviews from the press.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't read any of the reviews other than the ones for the first 2 episodes, and I agreed with them. Okay. Which was like an average of an 8. Okay. With the first one being a bit lore heavy, the second one being pretty good.
Okay. Cool. That's enough. No need to say anymore.
I'll
tell you my next thing.
What I will say is, it's nice to be back.
Yeah, okay.
So far is my estimation.
But it's very interesting. We talked a couple of weeks ago about that conglomerate. I've forgotten the name off the top of my head. Who bought the rights to the Lord of the Rings? No, it's a conglomerate who own a bunch of gaming. Yeah, no, they own a bunch of gaming rights and companies. Yeah. What's going to happen? I think it's all to do with because this period the Amazon show is being placed in isn't actually part of the Tolkien averse. I think it's before the Tolkien writings, so that's how they can get away with it. Interesting, right?
I didn't understand. Oh, you mean the Silmarillion?
As in, it's before any of Tolkien's writings, so it doesn't actually
It's
fit.
Actually definitely covered in the Silmarillion.
Interesting.
But I think that was published.
Silmarillion.
Silmarillion or whatever it is. That was published by his son.
It was.
He didn't fully get finished, so maybe that's why.
Maybe
there's a little bit of a loophole. What else have you been watching, dude?
Dude, we've been watching some weird shit, right? I'm going to give you a couple of movies at the end, which, are slightly less so. But this one, when you kind of sit on the sofa and you kind of go, I kind of don't want to watch trash, but at the same time, I don't want anything that's too heady. We didn't do either of those things. We started watching a show on Netflix, which is called Inside North Korea. And it is...
That would be interesting.
Yeah, tell me about it. I don't even know how we got to this, but it's kind of... I think it was just like an assimilation of both of us not wanting to choose anything... start something new. Yes. We kind of wanted a show that you could just watch an episode of and then walk away if you wanted to. And I'm fascinated by North Korea. The whole thing is just so weirdly baffling. And we watched one about their cyber attacks, right? So... You and I well know about the cyber attack on Sony where they got hacked and all their emails got leaked and we found out all this weird Spider-Man shit they were planning to do that thank God none of it ever came
I don't remember any of that, by the way.
Oh man, some of the Spider-Man stuff was real bad.
I just remember that it canceled the Seth Rogen movie. That was actually...
See, that was
it's a little bit underrated, I would say.
That was a big part of it. So that's where it started. And interestingly, Korea are actually sort of breeding's the wrong word, but they have a specific sector of society that they are training to be cyber hackers. So effectively, they could just take down world economies like this. It's crazy. It's nuts.
If they could, wouldn't they?
Well, I mean, maybe
Look,
they were
I'm
already
sure
in
that
there.
Can you imagine the depressing existence to be a cyber hacker
my
in
God.
North Korea? Like, they're nerdy enough already. Now they can be like, I just feel like that's a tough gig. Anyway,
Look, it's just insane. It's,
no,
it's
I would watch
genuinely, yeah,
Is it on
genuinely
Netflix?
really interesting. Yeah, give it a go.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I would watch that. Dude, what else? Before we get to the House of the Dragon, because I know you've caught up on that. At least 2 episodes.
So I haven't seen the 4th one yet. I've seen 1, 2, 3.
Same. We're aligned.
Okay.
Okay.
Good
so
news.
The last thing I've been watching ahead of that, which would have made my single season of television Mount Rushmore,
Okay.
had it not been a documentary.
Okay.
I don't think that counts.
Can it not?
Even if it's like a 6-part documentary, I think that's like kind of a different thing.
What about like Planet
documentary?
Earth?
It's a documentary.
It's still an amazing TV show.
I just feel like TV show implies fiction.
Okay, well, we'll beg to differ on this for the moment. But what are you
Anyway,
watching?
otherwise I will sub off fucking one of those.
Yeah, big time.
The Jinx.
I never heard of it.
You never
What's
watched
The
this?
Jinx?
Made 9.5 on Rotten Tomato, or 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, or
Damn,
maybe
okay.
99. I think it's 99 and 95.
What is it? Come on.
It's
Close
a
build up.
story about a trust fund guy in New York and his life. I don't want to give you anything else.
All right. Fucking hell.
But it's
You don't
kind of
give me
like
much to go
it's
on.
like a true crime thing.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, so it's probably true crime. Okay.
It's kind of, yeah. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's like the pinnacle of what I would say. It's not like, you know how there's this weird subgenre that's kind of like shitty now about true crime because so many like I don't know, Karens like love watching it, and there's like a lot of shitty ones. This is like this inspired like all of them. It's pinnacle.
Okay, I'll check it out. The
Very
Jinx.
good. It has one of the single best endings of anything I've ever watched.
Oh wow, okay.
That is high praise, and I'm not
Better
fucking
than the
around.
Red Wedding?
Yes.
Fuck. Far out. All right, okay. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
And before we get into House of the Dragon, I'm going to give you 2 movies, and you are not going to be able to guess either of them that we watched in this past couple of weeks.
Bambi.
What? Interestingly, not terribly far off.
Why did I say Bambi?
I don't know. Good, interesting
What was my
choice
gut?
though.
It was a gut check.
Well, we watched. I mean, it was my choice. It was my no veto week, and I chose because I'd heard good reviews about it to watch the new Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie.
Shut the fucking front door.
Let me finish. This got 80% of Rotten Tomatoes, and the cast is unbelievable. It's got Andy Samberg, it's got John Mulaney, it's got Seth Rogen, it's got J.K. Simmons. The cast is phenomenal.
My eyebrow is raised.
It's written by the guys who do the Lonely Island stuff. So it's
I'm
damn
on a
funny.
boat.
Yeah, it's damn funny. It's
I just had sex.
man,
Isn't that them?
love those guys.
And
They're
it
so funny.
feels so
Jizz
good.
in my pants. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's those guys, and it genuinely right. So it's this weird mix of like. It reminds me of, right? You know when do you ever see on like Instagram or whatever, and you get those conventions where you have like people who used to be wrestlers, but they're now really old, and that's the only way they can make money, or
Yes.
people who used to be in TV shows 30 years ago before money was good, and now they have to go to these conventions. It starts like that, and Chip and Dale, I can't remember which one, is at one of them just trying to scrape a living, and he's had this like CGI upgrade to his entire body. And he wants to get the Chippendales back together. Chippendales? That sounds weird. He wants to get the old crew back together to rebring the show back. But his mate, who's played by the guy who does Spider-Ham in...
John Mulaney?
Yeah. Really funny. Like, great dynamic between him and Andy Samberg. Like, they're just... they're really good together. Look, it's not... I don't think your partner would enjoy it, but it's funny.
I think my partner probably would if it's Chippendale. All she needs is the Disney...
Okay, it's a little
highlight,
bit.
yeah.
It is a little tongue in cheek, which is good.
I'm into that.
Yeah, I think it's maybe worth giving it a go.
What's it
And,
called?
just Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Yeah, it's on Disney, so you'll check that out. And the last one we watched, which we talked about doing for the podcast a long time ago, thank Christ we didn't, was Uncharted with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Should I not watch it?
Look, man, you watch it if you want to watch it. It's just real paint by numbers. Like, it's as if they took a couple of best bits out of those movies and just put bland personalities across them. Like, it's not good.
It seems like it would just be so below par for what you'd want it to be.
All right, put it this way, right?
You
Here's a non-spoiler thing, which actually in the trailers, but is going to tell you everything you need to know about this movie. They are in, I think it's Italy. I think they're in Italy doing, like, as you do, like Indiana Jones, you'll go to Italy and then you go through all the catacombs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They pop up into a Papa John's just halfway through this catacomb, like, raidingness.
Just to get a little
No, because it's part of the raid. They have to go through it. It's part of it. And you're like, come on, guys. Like, Like, I get it. Like, you got to get money from somewhere.
Product placement?
Yeah,
Literally
what it is. It's nonsense. Like, it's fine.
Wow.
Just play the games. They're 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk a bit about House of the Dragon then before we move on?
I'm digging it.
You digging it?
I'm digging it.
You're digging it. Very nice.
So far, they've done not what they've avoided doing what you were worried about.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
I had.
Do you want to fill the listeners in?
Yeah, no. Like, let's talk about it. I was basically concerned that they might just go budget over storytelling. Right.
Yes.
That's the long and short of it.
Yes.
And they haven't.
You
thus far.
paraphrased yourself.
Yeah, of course.
You were definitely more vulgar. When
I think you were.
Yes, it was. I'm loving like the character. I think the castings have been
agreed.
spot on.
Agreed. So
really
far,
well done.
Yeah.
I
really like the king. I called out Paddy Considine before we started, and I love him as King Viserys. Like I only really knew him. Like he's in a ton of stuff. Like I mean a ton of stuff, but I only knew him really from being in like an Arctic Monkeys video like 20 minutes ago, that British band. But he's in loads of stuff, man. Like loads of really well renowned
his
stuff
face is
too.
familiar as fuck.
Yeah, it really is. And he literally he really encapsulates like a good, honest king. But you can't be a good, honest king in Game of Thrones, can you?
Well, yeah, he's indecisive as well.
I think he's quite decisive when he needs to be. I just don't. I think he just tries to be too nice.
We'll find out.
Did you hear the controversy this week about Game of Thrones?
What?
So there's a scene. Paddy Considine, who we're talking about, King Viserys, he keeps cutting his finger on the throne.
Yeah.
And it's got like a disease in it or something that he can't get rid of. And so apparently it had the green screen thing on it. So like they put like a piece of tape on it so they could green screen it black and they forgot. So it's like now going back to all they left the Starbucks cups in the Game of Thrones shows. So they changed it pretty bloody fast, I tell you.
I mean, who cares?
I don't care at all.
That's ridiculous. The Starbucks cup wouldn't have been a big deal if they actually if you felt like they but it would not have been a big deal if it wasn't it was more a symptom of the fact that like a punchline of the joke that they like mailed it in with the story.
Massively.
Which it's not. It's fairly obvious they didn't with this. Like, it's been treated with care so far.
Absolutely. And I genuinely really like this casting as well. Everyone in it is great. Matt
Smith is so good as Daemon. He's such a good casting.
He's bulked up for it too. He's pretty.
Yeah, well, when in his armor, especially, you're like, oh wow, he's bigger than I would have thought.
He's hench. I've been given a spoiler by a friend of the show, Joe, for the 4th episode, which you're gonna really like. I'm gonna talk about it next week. It comes back to your love of certain parts of this show that others of us in the world, maybe frown upon. Like I know you were super into certain relationships in the last show.
You mean the incestual?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's not a spoiler. I'm pretty sure I know what happened. But don't.
Yeah, I know.
Just because I actually read the book. So.
Oh, did you?
Well, they talk about that. This shit's coming, right? Like the whole point was the Targaryens.
Well, you know what? This is an absolute lovely segue into Have You Heard This Week?
Let's do it.
So, DL, have you heard this week? First piece of news straight off the bat, as we're already talking about House of the Dragon. Have you heard this week that it has already been renewed for a second season?
I did hear that, and makes sense, right?
Which is fantastic
because it blew it out of the water ratings wise.
Yeah.
Look, I'm really I like that. You know what the best part about this is? They have not rushed into the conflict. Like they're giving you plenty of time with these characters to understand their like. The reasons they act the way they are, their human characteristics that will then, play into what they do later when presented with these crazy circumstances. And you can kind of understand and empathize with maybe the decisions they make that, you know, if you just read it on a page, you wouldn't understand.
Rhaenyra, whatever her name is. I don't know, man. She's a bit of a pouty child. I'm a bit like, come on. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I'm like,
she's a bit pouty, but she's also like, it's grounded in a pretty fair thing, which is her dad basically killed her mom by pushing for this son and ignoring her the entire time. Like it's a pretty human. You could understand.
I can.
But
she's got what she wants. She's next in line.
She probably wanted a mom more than that.
I don't know.
I think like that's probably
fair, to be honest,
that's probably kind of the lingering thing that no one's really addressing.
Yeah, probably. And they keep
even
trying to talk about it, right?
I think that's the point. She can't say it because it's so fucked up to say.
Yeah, that's true. Well, look, anyway, this, we don't get too deep into it, but
anyway.
After the first episode got incredible ratings, the second episode somehow got even better ratings. So, I mean, they couldn't not, push it for a second season, which is great, man. Like, this is what Netflix don't do. Netflix just go, there's been 2 seasons. It's probably going to go on the down. Let's cancel it. So I'm glad they're actually letting it breathe a bit.
Well, this is good writing, though.
Good writing, good actors.
And the one thing I would say about this that is a gap right now so far, and it's unfortunate because he seems like such a cool character, is the Valyrians. The sea snake.
Yeah.
He's a very famous character in the lore. And he's getting his due on screen, but they've kind of yada-yada'd over his backstory, which is okay. Like I feel like there was a way to bring that up in a more what's the word I'm looking for? Engaging way.
Okay.
Right. He all you got was, I worked really hard for what I did.
Yeah,
that's all you got for it. And then there's a lot more to it.
Well,
anyway, I'll also say that's the only gap. That's the only big flaw I've seen. That's like a nitpick.
Yeah, I really like. That's a really good character.
Yeah.
Did you like the introduction of the Lannisters?
I think it's so good.
It's so, and he's such a greaseball as well.
Yeah, it's so
great.
good. So see, they weren't always this,
It's so different from Tywin.
Yeah.
I love that juxtaposition of if you put them next to each other, you wouldn't believe they were in the same lineage.
Yeah, and it's like that. This is what they probably came from, which made Tywin be this kind of hard ass because it's like he was tired of them being this laughable.
Oh, exactly. Because everyone was
pompous rich people.
Yeah, and so they should be.
Yeah.
All right. Did you hear this week? Our favorite movies, your favorite movie, at least one of them, Shazam and Aquaman have been delayed, which we're devastated about again. So apparently Shazam's now been pushed back to the 17th of March 23, and Aquaman is now the 25th of December 23. So I like this piece of news, right? Because it's nonsense. So
I'm so sad.
Yeah, well, let me tell you why this is. Let me tell you why this is funny. So we all know about the Flash movie, the problematic Flash movie that's coming out. It's not coming out. Whatever. I don't want to talk about it. So for that movie, they filmed a bunch of stuff with Michael Keaton. So he was going to be the new Batman. And then what they did was they then flipped it. So Aquaman was coming out before this. So they filmed a cameo with Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. So they had a Batman in the movie. But now it's coming out after the Flash again, and everyone's like, I have no idea what's happening. What is this about? There's just Batman in movies for some reason.
Oh, man.
Everyone's confused.
Naturally.
You
think that no way they're confused.
No way.
They've been really, really clear with everything that's happened. Anyway.
Look, honestly, man, I am so pumped to do Aquaman 2 with you. I feel like just being able to compare it to the first one, we can be like, oh, this is better.
I don't even remember the first one.
That's bad.
It is a blur.
Yeah, it's a nonsense movie, which is why it's our famous rating system.
Yes.
What do you think about Batman's in these movies? Are you excited to see Michael Keaton come back? I know we've talked about it.
Just I wonder if they're just gonna have some random guy be Batman at this point.
I mean, yeah, probably.
And then they'll be like, "That's the new one, gotcha!" Without even announcing. You know what I mean? You never know. Anyway.
The point of that Flash movie was going to be that they were going to basically do the classic comic book thing and just go back to the beginning, and everyone's different and whatnot. But now, apparently Henry Cavill's going to be in the Dwayne Johnson movie, the Black Adam one. It's like, what are you doing,
Henry
guys?
Cavill as well.
What are you doing, guys?
So no, I just could care less, to be frank. And if I see Michael Keaton, great. If I don't, whatever. But
my problem is I've told you this 1,000 times. I'm probably in terms of comics a DC guy. I prefer DC comics for the most part.
Still at this point.
The comics, but the movies, I'm like, fuck. I don't want to know more about this. This is making it worse.
Yeah, it's just stop with this stuff. Did you see that Henry Cavill now wants to be in House of the Dragon 2?
Yes, I heard that.
This guy is a nerd.
He's a big fan. I mean, coming from us.
Yeah, but he looks like a fucking not a nerd. That's the crazy part.
You wouldn't guess we were.
I mean,
this
yes,
big nerds.
I'm just you get my joke. He
is literally.
You just give him a little whiff of a fantasy series being adapted, and this guy is just in there, bro. He's tweeting the director, the rumor showrunner, he's adding people, he's DMing, sliding in, you cannot. His agent's like, calm down.
Relax.
Calm down.
You've already got to finish The Witcher.
He's like, man, you just got to play cool. It's like, he can't do it. He's updating his Facebook stats, man. He's creating MySpace pages.
He's got a MySpace page for it. He's like, please put me in the show.
Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Well, apparently they're talking about bringing him into the MCU as well. So, he's going to be everywhere.
Right, his dick must have hit the table.
That scared the shit out of me.
Sorry.
Mate, did you also hear this week that Umbrella Academy director, he's all over the place. He's getting shouts out for everything. So first and foremost, he is Steve Blackman, and Umbrella Academy is getting a 4th and final season. Did you hear
I
that?
saw that, and I wonder if it's because they're already past the comics, and they're just
think so.
We don't want to make shit up.
I saw the first episode of the new series, and I've not watched any more yet.
Yeah, it was
Is that bad?
enjoyable. No, it's enjoyable.
You flew through it right on the plane.
Yeah, I
Literally.
burned through it. I mean, I watched like 2 episodes, and then literally before the plane, and then watched the rest on the plane. It was, yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he is also reportedly going to be doing an on-screen adaptation of the Horizon movie game.
That is a really, really good like video game. Like that has a lot of potential for
Big time.
an adaptation because the
Big
story
time.
is nuanced.
So no, and I like him for nuanced characters as well. Like
I just wonder if it's almost better as a show. How do you fit it all in as a?
it is a show.
Okay, good.
Apparently, did I not say that? I don't know
Thought
what
you
I'm
said
talking about
movie.
tonight.
Sorry, no, it's okay.
It's an on-screen adaptation. Probably, I believe it's a TV show from what I'm seeing, and this is being reported by ING, which, like you say, super nuanced. Just get the chicken who was in Game of Thrones, who was dating Jon Snow.
Call it a day.
Ready-made. Like you don't need to do
Call
anything
it
else.
a
Exactly. Yeah. The whole show is great. The guy who's the bad guy in it, he looks exactly the same in real life. So, like, yeah, there you go. It's made. What more do you need to do?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot there for to use for sure.
There is. Any news from you?
News wise, do you see that Indiana Jones 5?
Oh my god, they've been talking about this for like 5
But it was
years.
properly announced like with everything else in Disney. They announced so much.
Let's talk
stuff.
about D23 then. Let's do it now.
I mean, just you want to just roll through.
I'll give you a couple of highlights from my side. So Amy Hennig, we've talked about it before. Shout out to our Star Wars video games You're Never Gonna Get to Play episode, which I actually really like doing.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like kind of depressing, but good.
Yeah, a little bit. She did the Uncharted games, right? Her company Skydance are working on a new Captain America and Black Panther game.
I saw this and I knew you were going to bring it up.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, you're sick. I didn't see the game. Was there videos of it?
No, it was just like a cinematic trailer for it. Which
I thought you were gonna you'd love this.
It's gonna be a little way off.
You'll
So
for sure play it.
I've never played a good superhero game outside of like.
But you've
Spider-Man.
tried them all.
I've tried them all.
That's
down
my
to
point.
Superman
You
64.
don't learn
I've tried
from your
every single one.
mistakes.
People are saying that
forever
Guardians.
hopeful.
Yeah, people saying that Guardians of the Galaxy game is good now, like in retrospect, and I'm like, no,
I heard it was like mediocre.
it's
Like
super
it was
mediocre.
like a little bit above average.
It's fine. The
Yeah.
story's interesting. I
Yeah.
give it the story's interesting. But at the same time, like, it's the same game loop over and over. You're just slamming buttons. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. This is shit. Next bit then. All right. Tron. Do you remember Tron? Did you ever
do.
watch that growing
I
up?
never actually watched the
OG?
new one
I didn't either.
with Jeff Bridges and Olivia Wilde.
See, I watched it with my dad and we got really drunk and I can't remember any of it.
But I think I did the same. I watched it, but I just don't remember.
Yeah, like
I've seen parts of it.
Yeah,
got boring.
It has really bad CGI.
It
Jeff
just got
Bridges in it.
boring. Yeah.
I really like that. The idea of that being a video game.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
We could put that on our sci-fi episodes list. Not
I mean,
that
it
we've got
isn't.
too
It
many
is in
things to
Kingdom
talk
Hearts.
about. Is it?
Yeah,
Tron
it's
is?
It's a level. Yeah,
Jeez, all right.
it's pretty cool.
Cool. I've never played Kingdom Hearts.
You would like it
The-
if you could get over the fact that you're fighting alongside Disney
There's a trailer coming out
Like
for the
Goofy
fourth
and
one.
Duck.
Yeah,
and Donald Duck.
and Daffy Duck's ass just hanging out. Yeah, okay, all right.
Whatever the hell his name is.
I'd give it a go. Friend of the show, Steve, who does all of our gaming correspondence, he literally adores that game, and he talks about it. All
They're
the
really
time.
fun. The combat's really fun.
Okay, all right. We'll
And
check
as like
it
a
out.
kid, I loved it, but now I'm a bit old to play. I didn't finish the recent one.
I don't know. I think you're not too old to play it. think
I
you
would play it. Well, Gail loves it.
Oh, really?
Disney characters. So we used to like
yeah.
switch levels.
All right. Couple of final bits then. Captain America 4, we got news of casting. So the leader is coming back. Now, if you don't know who the leader is, that's fine. Why the fuck would you? It's a dude from the original Incredible Hulk movie. Now, do you remember the original Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton?
Ed Norton. They're really pulling that out of the bag.
Well, the dude who tries to help him, lose his hulkingness, who gets the drop of Hulk blood in his head and his head expands. He's big in the comic books. He's a big deal. He's a big smart guy.
Same character.
Yeah, he's coming back. Same dude. So that's good. Wonderful. I'm just not sold on that Captain America, like Falcon. I just don't like him as a character. I've seen so many films with him in.
Are you talking about which one?
Old mate Anthony
Yeah,
Mackie.
yeah. You're not talking about the Winter Soldier.
No. He's been announced he's going to be in the Thunderbolts lineup.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see that, but I still haven't seen Thor, so that means nothing to me.
No, well, Thunderbolts is very different. It's the bad Avengers, effectively. It's all the bad guys who are pretending to be Avengers. So it's your Yelena Belovas, it's your Winter Soldiers, it's your who the fuck else is in this? Who's the evil Captain America guy from the TV Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show? He's gonna be in it.
I know who you're talking about.
Yay! I don't know how into that I am.
I'm just so off Marvel
at the minute.
Frank.
But then the final bit that I want to talk about then, before you give me some of your news.
Yeah.
Did you see the trailer for Secret Wars?
Really good trailer.
So good, right?
Yeah, really good trailer. Great music. Great mystery.
Suspense.
Some
it's
good
back.
castings.
It's back, baby.
Yeah.
No more twerking.
It looks like there's some good castings in there. Emilia Clarke. You got the guy from The Hobbit /
you do? He's in Sherlock.
He's in Sherlock. You're right. He's also in Fargo.
Martin Freeman?
No, the guy.
It's Martin Freeman.
Yeah, but he's in Fargo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Sorry. I thought you said, for some reason, I thought you said Morgan Freeman.
My
brain is
Morgan Freeman alongside Samuel Jackson.
Man, we are slow today. Yeah, anyway, I'm excited for it. It looks good.
I think
one of the few Marvel assets that looks pretty
I think that's
exciting.
the one that's going to bring everyone back. I genuinely do.
Loki
I think
2
that's
as well.
Oh, well, Loki 2, that got a lot of news too. I'm excited by all that. Thank you for that news.
Yes.
Friend of the show, Bertie.
But real quick, though.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the news, friend of the show, Bertie. Before we jump through to the next section, did you see the Assassin's Creed Feudal Japan game?
No, I haven't seen anything about it. I saw an announcement.
It sounds very cool.
It does.
That's all I'll say.
I'm never going to play it, but it
Probably
sounds
not
very
either,
cool.
but it sounds cool.
I love it. Just like,
don't have any time.
Never going to play it.
But, anyway.
Brilliant. All right. Well, if you guys have heard any news, hit us up. Where can they find us?
The podcastassemble@gmail.com or podcastassemble on Instagram.
Find us, follow us, send us news. We love it when you do because we bring it up. Like when friend of the show Bertie sent us news, we brought it up straight away. Did we bring that up a minute ago? We love it when you do. Tag us, send us a mention or a follow, whatever you like. We love it when you do. Do you want to preface our main topic this week, DL?
Yeah, we are in lieu of the Lord of the Rings show. Billions of dollars being spent.
The highest, the most expensive most expensive TV show of all time.
Yep. We're going back to what was the least expensive Lord of the Rings asset released in the last 50 years.
Now, look, it would have been too easy for us to go and do the Peter Jackson trilogy. Like, too easy. Nobody wants easy.
I would have liked
So I found the most niche Lord of the Rings thing I could possibly find and forced Dre to watch it.
I'm pretty sure I saw this too at some point in my life. Not all of it.
Well, let's talk about that then. Like, what is your firstly?
So it's an animated.
It is, and it is from 1978, and we'll talk about that. But just before we do, then tell me, what is your connection to Lord of the Rings? Did you read the books? Do you just watch the movies?
I watched the movies first.
Okay.
And then, like, much later, read the books.
Interesting.
Enjoyed them. Bits of singing I could have done
too
without.
much singing.
Yeah.
Way too much singing.
And then watched The Hobbit. You know, pushed my way through it.
Why did you do that?
Yeah, was frustrated that it was 3 movies when it could have been 1.5 maybe.
Or none.
No, but it's a good story, The Hobbit.
Yeah, but
I read The Hobbit
not
before
that version.
I read The Hobbit before anything as
too.
well. Like that was like a very early, like I think I had to read that in grade school.
Yeah, so to rebuttal, like I did the same thing, right? So my uncle growing up was like, he was obsessed. And as a child, I've said this in one of my YouTube videos, he would sit with his friends and they would theorize the same way we do, to be perfectly honest, but they would, because they didn't have the internet, they just pull through the books and they'd, find theories. And so I was all kind of inspired by that when I was younger to read the books. I started with The Hobbit and then I went on and read Lord of the Rings. Then not long after the Peter Jackson movies came out, and it sort of established my love for this,
I mean, they're really well done, those movies.
Oh, so well done. So well done. And I started The Hobbit. I told you this. I just turned it off, man. I was like, this isn't what I want to watch. It's crap. So I never finished watching them, which is, it's fine. I watched the CGI bits of Benedict Cumberbatch rolling around on.
There's flickers of good stuff in it, but it's always just a flicker.
Yeah.
Then there's a CGI fest, and you're like, oh, gross.
So you think you've watched this then?
I think I've definitely seen parts of it.
Okay.
Like as a kid or something, like on, or in school, I forget. But the animations of the Hobbits was oddly familiar to me.
Okay.
Like the little characters.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that in a moment then.
Yeah.
Before we do you want to give me your stupid plot summary?
Yes, my stupid plot summary is Ralph Bakshi does Samwise Gamgee fucking dirty. Because
he does.
That is messed up what he did to him.
He does.
Yeah.
It's real bad. We will talk about that in characterization in a moment. We've changed a bit. We're going full spoilers here. There's no point in doing non-spoilers and spoilers. Mine is a lot simpler. This is the epitome of the "all right, keep your secrets then" meme. You know, from Frodo in the first Lord of the Rings movie. This movie just stops. So we'll get into that in a moment. But before we do,
I was not as nonplussed by that as you were.
Oh man, but it kind of comes out of nowhere. All right, let's frame this a little bit better then. So what do you think the IMDb score is for this?
I could not guess. 6. You know what? 7.2.
6.2. Not bad. Rotten Tomatoes?
Is it even rated?
It is.
55.
Ooh, 51. Pretty close, isn't it? So there isn't a Metacritic score for this. So
I
went with Letterboxd. So Letterboxd is out of 5.
2.5.
It's 3. So I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's a thing. Well, as DL mentioned, this is director Ralph Bakshi, who is apparently known for being absolutely batshit. Ironically, great naming convention, perfect for him. He's apparently just known for being this nutter who took on crazy projects and animations.
Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
See it.
But the cast is pretty good for this. Right. So
William Squire, Sam, dude. Sam is so.
Let's
bad.
not talk about Sam. Michael Scholes was bad.
Yeah.
But it's got Will Squire who plays Gandalf, who we'll talk about in a moment. John Hurt's in this as Aragorn. It has bloody Christopher Lee who's playing Treebeard, and it's got Anthony Daniels who is the one and only C-3PO playing Legolas. I actually like that cast. They're all good.
The voice acting isn't terrible.
It's not bad at all. Now, what we do is before we get into it, what we like to do is we like to talk about goofy IMDb picks. Now, this movie, as I mentioned, it's from the late 70s. It's gonna have some goofy IMDb picks, right? It's gonna have some nonsense. So, to begin with, we have our current MVP, who, as we all know, is Mr. Channing Tatum from the movie Bullet Train as uncredited train passenger.
Yes.
Now, can you explain Channing Tatum's IMDb picture to the ladies and gentlemen?
Isn't it like he's sitting at a rave or something?
He's sat in an interview and he's squirming a bit, and he looks like he's off his box.
He's like it's like a bad picture that it's like a freeze frame where someone's nose or eyes are in a weird position.
Yeah, it's like they've paused the video of him at the worst possible
it's like a
moment.
thumbnail of it. Yeah.
So this week we have the contender. We have his opponent.
Okay.
And there's 2 really good ones for this. And I'm going to show you the first one. I didn't actually write down who this was, but this is the first one. Now, can you explain that to the listeners?
It looks like it looks like Mr. Peanut and an orc.
Man, he looked like
had
he's
a baby
for the
with
Wizard of Oz.
the Grinch's orange beard. I don't even know, man. That's a weird thing. I can't even describe it.
Now, the reason I'm not going to give you that one is because he's just an uncredited voice actor. Well, this is actually the voice of Gandalf, Will Squire. Okay. Now, can you please explain this image to the listeners?
Is Will Squire like a big deal?
He's a bit of a big deal. There you go. You can explain that to the listeners.
I don't think I can. Looks like he's in some kind of shrouded, hooded getup.
He looks like he's got some weird orc mask on.
With like a weird sex party orc mask covering the top half of his face. That's kind of goldish, with a bedazzled what do you call that? Like a.
He's got like a chain on, almost like he's royalty.
It's not a chain. It's like a papal gown.
And he looks like he's got the Friar Tuck haircut. He's only got half hair.
And look. IMDb wasn't around back then.
It's very true.
I can't blame this guy. He doesn't even know what IMDb is.
They could have just taken a nice picture.
He might still have a flip phone,
regular picture,
if he's even alive. So to me, I have to give it to Channing Tatum here. I expect more from you.
Back, baby.
Yeah,
all right. More. I like that. Let's keep Channing. I think that's more in the spirit of goofy IMDb pictures. We're not here to make fun of people. We're just saying, why on earth has this person got this IMDb picture?
No. Yeah,
come on, let's talk about this goddamn movie.
How cool is the movie poster for this, though?
Show me.
I would have been very keen to see this.
Oh, the movie poster is
pretty badass.
It's like Gandalf with a giant sword.
Just very, very epic. Anyway, Yeah. So Tommy made me do this. And
so what's your initial reaction then? Tell me. I want to know. Like
sleepless.
when you sat down. Yeah.
I may or may not have fallen asleep 3 to 4 times during the scope of this 2.5 hour epic. And when you think about, something as familiar as I am, like an asset that I'm as familiar as I am as this with this content, it's hard for me to remember what I actually saw and what I've imagined I saw because I know the story so well. But what I will say is, overall, if you're asking for a general summary from what I saw, it did kind of nail the tone.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And that they used...
It felt like whoever did this had a true caring and respect for the...
Real respect.
Anything that aged was like a result of a singular bad casting choice or, just technology.
Well, they use pretty much direct dialogue from the books.
Yeah,
like it is
mostly.
pretty much direct. Which
a
helps.
lot of it is. Yeah.
And you mentioned just before we started, the music for this is, and we're going to talk about it more in a moment. It really fits with the sort of creepy narrative it builds throughout.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention as well that I mentioned up top, I saw this when I think I was probably about 5. That is too young to watch this movie. This is creepy as fuck. And I'm going to talk about some of the bits that genuinely scared me as we go through. As a child, probably scarred me a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Not the Balrog. The Balrog looked like Barney had a bad weekend on the old heroin. But not good.
It looked like a grungy Barney.
Yeah, not good.
Coming out of a revolver. A little bit off his rocker, yeah.
But honestly, there are bits of this that genuinely terrified me, and we'll talk about them, like I say. And I think from my perspective, I have really fond memories of this because me and my brother watched it a bunch growing up. So like, even though it is just have all these moments that are horrifying, I think it's great.
Nostalgia factor is high for Thomas.
Big time. So effectively, then the plot of this is that it mashes together the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers.
Yes,
and then just abruptly stops. Abruptly.
Well, I think that the end of the Two Towers is rather abrupt, if I remember from the books.
But there's going to be another one, unlike if you judge our mind.
I assume that these guys thought they had another shot too, but it's like, dude, you know what it is? It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, but on 1.5 speed mode.
Kind of,
It flies through the beginning.
They just
whereas
transition from one. They're all of a sudden
and there's a fellowship.
Rivendell, and then they're here. You're like, all right.
And it's like, I remember the movie, because like obviously you're going to compare the movies, the ones that Peter Jackson did to this.
In some ways, you have to.
It's just natural, right? And I just remember that movie, like you're 45 minutes in and they've like barely left the Shire because there's like 20 minutes of like exposition about what's happened, which you don't get that in this, right?
100%. And I mean, I kind of like they sped up some bits of it. Like, don't get me wrong, love the Peter Jackson ones, and I've said this on the podcast
I love
before.
The Fellowship. I think it's my favorite one of
it's great.
of the 3.
I like the Two Towers. I've said this on the podcast before. I used to sit and watch with my dad every Christmas the Lord of the Rings extended.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew it was Christmas. Like it was like, this is it. This is when it starts.
It's like 10 hours of television.
Fuck me, it's a lot of TV. God, I think that's probably why we get drunk. We used to get drunk and watch stuff together. But I think one thing we have to talk about to begin with is the animation style. Now, another movie that terrified me as a child was Fantasia by Disney for some reason.
Same with the goblin guy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
With like the devil or whatever he was.
Weird as hell.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is like if you mash up Lord of the Rings with Fantasia at points. It's great. But they use this thing rotoscoping, which for anyone who doesn't know is effectively an animation technique where they film live action footage of people doing stuff or things and or stuff. And then frame by frame, they reproduce like all of the action in animation. So surely that just takes longer than just making a movie. Just film it.
I mean, I'm sure it does. You can argue the results might look different, and that's why they like
do.
it.
And you see that in this movie a lot.
But yeah, it is they didn't do that for everything, right? Because there's some parts that look like
all of it.
There's some parts that look like a natural Disney animation, like the Hobbits and stuff. That's not a real person.
They're rotoscoped. They're
really
painted
because you can really tell when they're fighting people. But when you're not, but like, and usually the enemies, not the main characters.
It's really interesting that they are very specific with who they choose to be rotoscoped and who to be direct animation.
It did feel like there was direct animation characters that weren't rotoscoped at all. Is that what you're agreeing with?
It's a mix of the two.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I thought that was kind of bad. That rotoscoping stuff.
It only works in certain moments.
Well, it's most of the time, I think they just shouldn't have done it.
Well, I've kind of mixed performances and characterization because I think to talk about some of this stuff, you have to talk about like some of the characters, and the only times I would really say the rotoscoping worked for me, other than maybe the Minds of Moria, were when we're just going to talk about this in general, right?
Yeah,
we're not going to go.
Did they do it for the Minds of Moria? Because
they have some rotoscoping for
it. It looked good there, except for the Balrog. Yeah.
That looks all right. The bit that I was going to call out was, any time the Nazgul are on screen. The Nazgul in this.
I think I slept through the Nazgul.
Fucking terrifying.
I don't remember that.
That's one of the best scenes. The bit where they first meet Strider, the first where they first meet Aragorn.
You mean the ring wraiths, not the Nazgul.
Wait, that's the same, isn't it?
The Nazgul are the things they fly on.
Really?
Yes.
How have I not known that?
Yes.
For all these years, I thought the Nazgul were the same.
The ring wraiths and the Nazgul are different. I'm pretty sure the Nazgul are like the dragon things.
Mind blown.
I believe.
I'm that meme right. That emoji.
I'm no Stephen Colbert, but
okay, all right. Yeah. Well, the ring wraiths when they're in the when they're in the tavern, the pub, and then they just appear in the room and they start stabbing the beds, and oh man, that was fucking terrifying to me as a kid.
I forget, was that in a book? In the books?
That's in the books.
Okay, because I was gonna say there's a lot of things that, like, to me, you can tell Peter Jackson saw this as a kid. And actually liked it because there's certain shots that are taken almost directly from this.
Yeah, there are.
And like maybe it was just so well described in the book that they happen to be similar, but some of them are way too similar from where I'm like, no way. Like the one in the where they hide under the tree.
Yes, that
is a direct cut from Peter Jackson's movie.
Absolutely. No, well, that's it. Peter Jackson was absolutely influenced by this. One of the shots in the very beginning of the movie when they talk about the proud feet.
Yeah, and he puts his foot up.
And he puts his foot up.
That's a good point.
Directly ripped from this, which is I love that, and it shows that he has
an appreciation for everything Lord of the Rings, not just the source material, which is really great. What did you think of all the characters in this then? I mean, like,
they make some changes.
How do they do Samwise Gamgee like that? Why does Sam look like an ugly old woman?
He's terrible.
And then the sound, like, so absurd. Like, I remember the second line he says, "Ooh, hooray!"
It's almost like...
And I was just like... to be honest, I was a little under
Dude, it's almost like they've got a trombone. Like,
there's a reason why... Yeah, seriously.
Whenever he walks around, I'm like... Oh, God.
I think there was another reason why I fell asleep.
He's
just
not
to give you a little insight. Like,
what, because of Samwise Gamgee?
No.
Specifically.
Performance enhancers, anyway. For like movie watching, and I don't think Sam helped me there. I was just like, he was so goofy to me, I couldn't.
Well, it's interesting. I had a likening of this movie. So in the new ones, in the Jackson ones, obviously Merry and Pippin, they're the comic relief.
Yes.
Whereas I think Samwise is supposed to be that in this, but it doesn't come across.
But like in a terrible way.
Yeah, so bad. But then in this, Merry and Pippin, which is which? Who knows? They're completely interchangeable. They might as well just be one character. Like, I don't have a fucking clue which one it is.
Oh, it's funny, man.
It's true.
It's true. I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea. Trust me, bro.
Well, characters I liked then, and you stop me if there's any here that you don't like. I know they changed Aragorn because he's like this quasi-Native American, like regal-looking dude, and
he does look like I was gonna say he looks so different from the.
I liked
movie.
that.
Yeah,
he was super. Like I say, regal's the word I think of when I think of him. This version of the character, and I don't think of that when I think of Viggo Mortensen. I just think he's a skinny old man.
I don't think about him in that way for his Lord of the Rings peak.
Sure.
I think of them now like that, but to me, Viggo, I mean, he just embodies that character so much for me. It's hard for me to see anyone else.
Really,
right? It's just one of those things.
I really like this version of him. I thought it was great.
I'm not saying it was bad. It's just like it just felt out of place because I'm used to Viggo.
Well,
whereas Legolas is even worse.
Awful.
Yeah.
C-3PO, bad. Stick to what you know, mate. So just to finish on Aragorn. Imagine that scene at the end, right? This is you're never going to see it because it's never going to end. But like, if you'd seen this version, the Native American type version, getting a crown on, and he's pretty built, like he's broad in this, like he'd fit the armor and stuff. He would look fucking great.
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, sure.
Just my 2 cents. I
get it. I'm not debating it. I just think, it's hard for me to.
I loved 2 characters I found terrifying as a child: Grima Wormtongue and Gandalf. Now you get think Gandalf is random.
Why Gandalf?
there are just scenes where like he's just shouting for
and he's
no
so
reason.
stern as well.
And there's the bit. There's a bit at the beginning when he points at Frodo.
That I literally wrote
and
this.
His head moves sideways.
What did I literally wrote
Sticks
this.
off the screen.
I was like, Gandalf punks him with a little hand gesture.
Just moves off the screen.
Oh no, maybe it's like it's actually like right after when like he's like, and you gonna protect, like he convinces Sam that he's gonna never separate, and he just like he like finishes talking and like just points at him and then just like punks him and then just walks off. I was like, what a savage.
Well, like his characterization's wild in this because there's a bit when they go into the mines of Moria and he's going like, everyone quiet, and then he just shouts at everyone. He's like, wait, hey, what? And you're like, fuck man, calm down. Like, why are you so angry?
That's funny, bro.
It's a weird characterization.
I thought the craziest part about Gandalf was like how dumb he was at certain points. Like,
so dumb.
No, but like mostly it was good, I think. But like there was some points where it was like just obviously cartoon character dumbness. Like,
sure.
How dumb is this? If Saruman's tower in Isengard looked like that, and you didn't catch on that he's bad, bro.
And he's got the bags under his eyes.
Yeah, you deserve
spiky nails.
That, and then just like the crazy tower's like dark and red and just like very grim.
It's
and
Fantasia.
Like evil. And I'm just like, you know, if you can catch on that he's bad, you are Nazgul food. Like, you deserve to be at least. Like, I don't know how he got out of
He's
that.
a bad Fu Manchu ripoff. That's what he is.
Dude, you also Saruman was like kind of this like half Asian.
Did you notice they call him Araman throughout the film?
No.
That's a fun little bit of trivia. So the producers thought that people would get confused between Sauron and Saruman.
To be fair,
so
as a kid, I
it.
did.
Did you? All right, okay. So they changed it, but they didn't change all of it. They only changed certain ones. So occasionally they say Araman, and sometimes they say Saruman. It's like, all right, man, make up your mind.
He kind of sounded like he had an old, like, Asian man fake accent.
Did he?
And then he kind of looked a bit Asian as well. So I didn't know what they were trying to do.
He did have that film, like, that, you know what I mean? That's sort of like what would be a really racist stereotype.
100%. That's what I was getting at. Anyway,
I liked it. I thought he was a quite terrifying character. But like you say, few giveaways in this.
Yeah.
It's like, at least in the Jackson ones, like he comes across like a kindly old man to begin with. And then he turns into this terrifying.
I think that
individual.
obviously it's hard to like Gandalf in the movies is way better in the Peter Jackson. He's amazing.
So much
also,
better.
even the writing, like some of the decisions he did choose to make about Gandalf and like how they did it, like they're so quintessential to my like love of the films that I'm like, wow, he did
in the Jackson films.
Yes, he did such a good job. Like there was like I noticed it in the very beginning where they're talking about you know, the ring and he throws it into the fire. That whole scene, just the difference in like how Gandalf just touches it and throws it in. Yeah. Whereas like the gravity and the weight that Peter Jackson puts around Gandalf, not even touching it, like and being like scared and like throwing it with the envelope into the fire. Right. He's so afraid. It like really sets the tone of the movie. And then like as it burns, he's like, "What do you see?" And he's not looking at Frodo because he's like afraid to look.
It's amazing
world
building.
And he goes, "Oh, there's nothing," and you just see the look of relief in his eyes.
A second.
And then he goes, "Oh wait," and you see it all the weight come back, and it's just like such good acting, directing. Absolutely. It's so heavy. Whereas in this, he just goes, "Oh, see," reads it, and then just reads all the words on it. It's just like kind of like you just realize the wasted opportunity having seen both. Anyway,
that is partly down to Ian McKellen being an amazing.
It's
actor.
both. I think that there was a lot of coaching there as well. And like I'm sure that McKellen like 90%, but like I'm sure that like the blocking of the scene, right? Like Peter Jackson was involved in, and
probably,
yeah, I would imagine.
I would imagine too. And I was reading up on the actual original Peter Jackson trilogy recently, and there's a load of interesting stuff about the amount of time they took. They took literal years just to decide on how to deliver in terms of like the writing of the script, the direction of it, and like you know how they used angled perspectives to make the characters look like hobbits. All that stuff, they took years just prepping, rather not even writing the script, and that clearly shows by how much love flows into those movies. Yeah. But we're not talking about those movies, DL.
But it's impossible not to.
We're talking about this one. What do you think about? You kind of touched on world building then, and I like that. Let's move on to world building. What do you think about that and the cinematography per se in this?
I think it's an animated movie. I don't know how like there's definitely like like the music is really good as you touched on, and like it really sets the scene, and you know it kind of felt like it flew by certain things.
Yeah.
But overall I think it you know it's a big world. There's a bit like there's moments where they kind of describe the lore out loud.
Interesting you say the big world part because like as a kid watching this, I watched it and I was like, oh, they're just moving from scene to scene. It's a big world. They're going different places. Whereas watching back with a critical eye, you notice random shit they do. Like, so for example, when they transition from one scene to another, they'll change the whole background, but they don't keep the levels of consistency. So one background will be like a lush forest, and it'll be really in-depth detail with like everything. And the next one, they'll be in like a barren wasteland, and it'll be just like a slap of brown across the screen with a stick in the back. You're like, what the fuck have they gone in like 15 minutes? Like, what's happening here? The consistency behind some of the some of the backings,
and the quality of them,
wildly.
I didn't notice that, but honestly, bro, I may have fallen asleep through those changes.
Well, look, they were just kind of skipping ahead for a lot of it. And it's like, I get it, they're trying to get to some of the key points.
That's what I'm saying. It felt speedy, and also I can't recall whether I fell asleep and missed parts or if
it's just a bit of a mess, man.
Yeah.
Like it was a bit all over the place. But then
I hated the live action characters fighting though.
Did you?
Like the live action characters fighting cartoon characters.
Yeah, it made me.
It was terrible.
It reminded me of like Golden Axe. You ever play Golden Axe growing up?
No.
Oh man, great game for the Sega Mega Drive. Oh, you had the Genesis in the States.
Yeah, I had the Genesis.
Yeah, same. Like you have an axe, for example, with some of the characters, and you're hitting, but it's like a thud. You're not like chopping someone with an axe.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like bouncing off them. It's like that sort of thing with
totally
with the lightsabers when they don't work in video games. They just kind of ping off stuff.
It just feels like not weighty. Like
what
there's
is happening? Yeah, zero weight to it. Pacing though, I feel like it simultaneously felt like super short but so long at the same time. It was all.
I think
over
it's
the
like
place.
partially because you know how long it is in the two other movies.
Yeah,
you're
that's
like
true.
comparing it, and you're like, oh wow, like this is some parts feel like they're just yada-ing over.
Yeah, it really.
But then
does.
you're also like, well, this is 2 hours. Like there's a lot more that they're covering. It is a weird kind of catch-22.
It's a weird one. It's oddly baffling and frustrating.
My notes are so random.
Go on, hit me.
Aragorn went hard at that innkeep, given the task he's asking of him is pretty impossible, which is basically hold off the ring race.
Yeah, exactly. Like what is happening?
And this is just this beer-doting innkeep. Like,
but the innkeep's so weird. Like he like that in that 30-second scene. He flip-flops. He stands there and he goes something like, you want to, like, that Strider's a good guy. And then Strider pops out and it's like, you should never trust this man. And you're like, hang on a minute, what the fuck has happened? What happened to him popping out from behind the door?
Yeah. And then, like, I have another one. Where Elrond looks like middle management.
Oh my god, Elrond's the worst character model. Like, I thought Legolas was bad when I saw it, but
Legolas is bad.
Oh,
They're both
wow.
pretty fucking bad.
Not good.
And then I'm just reading my random
Please.
bed scene ? Question mark. I think I was just falling asleep at this part. Like,
Well, I think
no
that's
idea.
a bit when he must be when he wakes up in Rivendell, right?
Yes, because the one before that is Shade World looks pretty cool. Frodo looks like he dropped some acid.
Expand on that. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's go to action. I think some of the action, some of the better parts of this, especially the smaller scale. Maybe not so much the bigger scale, but expand on why you're talking about Frodo dropping acid.
Because he gets pwned, right? By the way, that was the biggest pwning ever. He
what does pwn mean?
Like he goes to try and attack one of the ring wraiths, and the guy just like bats him away and stabs him instantly.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow, you just got that was textbook, bro.
But if you see, when he does it, when Frodo comes, it becomes really slow.
Yeah, it's just like super.
It's almost in slow mo.
Dainty.
Yeah.
Like anyway, he gets stabbed, and then he's like in the ring wraith world.
So this is at Weathertop, right?
Yeah, Weathertop.
So this is one of the first real action scenes you get in the movie when the ring wraiths attack. It's Aragorn and
It was a creepy, cool
hobbits.
little scene. Like the
Super
smaller
creepy.
scale stuff, I didn't mind.
I really liked because Frodo puts on the ring at this point, and the wraiths come for him.
Yes,
and obviously Aragorn can't see him and can't fight them off. So it does kind of. I like that when he goes invisible and he goes into that weird sort of like it's like the
inverse.
All the colors are inverted. It's like it's
green
cool.
and it's like the music and it's pretty creepy. They did a good job.
That's why I didn't like the wraiths, man. They freaked me out.
I just think they did a really good job of like, it wasn't like setting the tone.
Yeah, for sure.
For the most part, like they didn't. That's the part that you would think if you're making this in the 70s would be compromised.
For sure.
It was an animated film, and it wasn't.
And well, then I think, like you said, the small scale action scenes work better because of that. Because you can put more love into them. You don't have to just wash the whole background with humans who've been drawn over. The next one I just wrote down was action scenes. I'd love to know your take on it. I put Mines of Moria, Balrog is shit.
I literally wrote like Balrog looks like Fat Barney. We were talking about it. So like
Barney with wings.
Yeah.
And I made a point to you before the show. Now you tell me about this and tell me if I'm wrong, but you know how Gandalf falls with the Balrog?
yeah,
Why does the Balrog fall? He's got wings.
it's more like chicken wings.
He
He can fly a bit.
He's an ostrich.
Yeah,
He just kind of can flap.
Just can flap a little bit off the ground, and that's as far as he goes.
It's still one of my favorite scenes in Lord of the Rings. Full
Yeah.
stop.
No,
The
it's
bit
good.
with
It's
the
great.
Balrog.
It's that's why I think that's why the Fellowship's my favorite.
Oh, big time.
That-
Great.
yeah.
Phenomenal scene. I do like. They do kind of skip over the returning of Gandalf in this. Like it just kind of happens and then he's back.
Yeah,
And
well,
you're like, hang on a minute. When did he come
I
back?
again just woke up and he was back, so I figured they covered it already.
Your viewing of this movie must have been real weird.
It was staggered at best.
I think the two to just touch on them before we finish up. Then, what did you think of the Boromir sacrifice?
I did get a bit of that. I think
Yeah,
that's
I think it's
literally where
great.
I like was falling asleep finally.
Very like Red Wedding getting
Yeah,
shot with
it
all
was-
his arrows.
Yeah, it's intense. Boromir in general, bit of a douche, but
Yeah,
but,
fuck,
but
man.
like
awkward characterization.
I think that Sean Bean is like my Boromir.
Oh, yeah, he's
Yeah.
great. He's a phenomenal actor as well.
Well, he just did it so well. He played both sides so well.
I would have liked to have seen the Sean Bean character in this Boromir's outfit. This Boromir's outfit's
No
like
way.
shirtless.
He's like a Viking.
Yeah, he's a little.
I would not. I prefer Sean
It would
Bean's
be fucking hilarious.
older.
Maybe we can rotoscope it onto him after his next.
'cause that was
movie.
like peak Sean Bean.
peak Sean Bean. He's a little bit older now. Like
Oh, he's way older.
It's a shame because like I would have liked him to have been young, dying and everything forever.
Yeah, because he does it so well.
He does it so well. Last one then, Battle of Helm's Deep. So effectively, what happens then is we get a rushed version of the first and second books,
Yes.
and we end at the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Yes.
And
You get a bit of
it's-
Golem. We didn't
and
talk about Golem.
You do. I'll talk about that in a minute then.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like it's not special.
No, it's
the
probably
battle.
the worst part of the
That-
movie.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to do too much and not really achieving anything.
Look, I think that the main thing that pulled me out of that was the roto, whatever you called it. Like
Rotoscoping.
it was really obvious in those scenes.
Big time.
Yeah. Whereas I would have rather it just been like, more just all drawn.
I think the
All
thing
animated.
that took me out of it was, you know, the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep. Gandalf comes over the hill, and he's
I
like,
know what you're gonna
yeah,
say.
yeah. He
I
comes
know
over the hill and this with 6 dudes,
How many
and like 10,000 orcs just disappear.
how
You're
many
like,
riders of Rohan
Yeah,
does
exactly.
it take to scatter 1,000 orcs? 5.
It's literally none. It's like no
6,
one.
bro.
It's
They-
like and then the dude.
Intimidation at the net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the king. I forget who the king is. You know the guy who was.
King Theoden.
Theoden.
Why do they call him
just-
Theoden King?
He does the
It's King
Gandalf, Gandalf, and you sit there and you're like, "That's not in the books. Why is he just screaming Gandalf for no reason?" Imagine you're an orc and you're like,
Maybe it is. Maybe it was
What?
one of the songs.
"Maybe it is."
There's
Maybe
so
he
many.
just
I skipped
stops
a
for
few.
song
Yeah.
in the middle of the Battle of Helm's Deep.
I wouldn't put it past Gimli,
That's actually
In
Gimli's,
these dolphin mountains
Gimli's
of a
barely in
la, la, la.
this.
True.
he
and it
gets
suffers
really
for
cut
it.
down.
That's honestly one of the good parts about the show is the doors. They get
Oh, yeah, well-
they back, homies.
We'll get to that. So do you want to touch on Gollum then before we move on?
Oh, look, he's just a bit creepy looking.
He
And
was
he's, like craggling around, like proper Golem. Like, they could have. It's interesting how they made him look. Like, it's similar to what you'd expect. I guess like that just goes to show that Tolkien wrote him well on the page. Everyone kind of has the same image.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I think this also influenced again a lot of the
I'm
stuff
sure.
because it's cool as like it's real interesting and it kind of really captures like the
Even the orcs were
creepiness.
really good.
Yeah, I like the orcs. The beginning scene. So at the beginning of the movie, they do like a really quick overview of the ring's existence.
Yeah.
I really liked Gollum in that the Smeagol, the 10 seconds of him like killing his mate and all that.
Yeah.
I thought that, and I just think even Peter Jackson maybe used that as well as part of his movies. I really liked
It's
that.
definitely in it, but isn't it in it? It's like the start of the second one.
Potentially,
I
yeah.
think so, the way they did it.
Yeah, maybe it is actually. You're right. Yeah. All right, then talk about the music to me then, because I called it out at the top as something I actually liked about this.
I'm just not like a connoisseur, so I don't know what else I can say about it other than it was a big part of why the tone was spot on. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
It actually, and when you compare it to like Peter, because again, can't help but do it. When you compare it to Peter Jackson's movies, like that has an epic soundtrack. And so like part of me when I was watching this was like, is this really going to be the same? Like how can you have it like this movie? But it did its part. Like, and it was different. and it wasn't as good, I would say, but it was still pretty damn good, and it made it, it set the tone really well.
Well, we have some fantastic true or false trivia about the music for you when we get to it. So then let's wrap this up then. So for me, like I say, it's going to always sort of live on in my head as one of my initial introductions to The Lord of the Rings, even though it terrified the shit out of me. Where does this sit in your like consciousness? Are you just going to forget it immediately, or?
I don't know that this will do much for me.
Okay, all right.
Not
you
that
wouldn't
like
go back.
I think I'd rather. Well, I guess like the question is like, when would I go back? If
That's
I had
a
a
good
kid,
point.
would I do? I'd probably
Older than
there's
five.
probably other things I'd have him watch.
Yeah,
and
okay.
and then when he would be ready for the real Lord of the Rings, I would give him that. I'm glad I did it though. That's interesting. It's just it's we're both nerds, and it's good to watch this stuff and get some
Nerdy shit.
Like as a big fan, it's always interesting to see what influenced other people, because you can think of like the things that you watch that might influence anything you made that you would have never guessed, right? Like Peter Jackson was obviously influenced by this, right?
Like we stole our entire podcast. Great. Exactly the same thing. 3 best and 3 worst?
How obvious it is that Peter Jackson watched this as a kid was one of my best.
Yeah.
The music stands up.
Yep.
Evil character animations were quite good.
I completely agree with all of those. I had, it's obviously super faithful to the books. I think the dialogue specifically really is helped by that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, I'm not going to say that. I think it's really helped by that. Some genuinely terrifying imagery. I've called out a bunch of things that I was like scared of actually scared of as a kid, and there's not a lot on screen that scared me as a child. I wasn't a super hard child. I just it was a bit like now, you're a bit desensitized to stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, genuinely did, like the fucking ring race, Jesus. And what you said, the music, I called the music out as well. I think it's so vastly different to what you expect now for Lord of the Rings because of those Jackson movies. But like, it's so good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Wes?
The live action fighting cartoons.
Yep.
The Samwise
Yeah.
character.
You hate Samwise in
made
this.
it so bad. And then I just put like an interesting idea combining the first 2 books. I don't know why you'd do that.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
not
well,
just
I said
work?
exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, Frodo goes off screen at one point in the movie, then she never comes back. Like, you never find out what happens to the key. Like, it's in the title, The Lord of the Rings. The ring just leaves the screen, and you're like, all right, I guess we'll never find out where that goes then. That's cool. Good work. That's what I'm like. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
great. Thanks
Yeah.
for that, guys. I just think they condensed too much stuff. Like,
Yeah.
they're skipping over parts. Like, don't get me wrong, like, skip over Tom Bombadil. I know he's like a favorite for Rings fans, but I'm like, I don't give a shit about that.
It
character.
is odd. It's tonally odd.
Yeah, it is.
Compared to the rest of the books.
It absolutely is. And the wild fluctuations in animation, just like
It's tough.
some of the times you're like, what is actually happening here? All right, then, our final question of the piece. Our famous rating system, as always, and we talked about it up top, is this movie better or worse than the most average movie we could think of? The perfect 5 out of 10. No worse or no less. We don't give out of 10s. We don't give 5 Samwise Gamgees out of 10 Frodos. We just say, is this movie better or worse than Aquaman 2018? DL.
I'm going to surprise you and say it's better.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Mind
yeah.
blown.
Even though I
up.
fell asleep for half of it, I did
Yeah,
the
no.
same thing for Aquaman, so I can't really speak about this worse than that. I will say that it's just more, it's just weirder and I think more lasting.
Okay.
I was intrigued by it more.
You would want to come back for the next half if it came out.
I would want to come back for the next half if it came out more than I would want to go and watch the next Aquaman.
That's what I mean.
If that's what you're getting at.
Yes. All right, that's fine. I am once again the opposite way.
Okay.
I'm so frustrated by this movie. I can't say it's better than that. At least Aquaman's a closed story. Like, and the action's good in this. The action's fucking awful. Like, it's meandering, but at the same time, you skip past stuff.
Sometimes it's just fun to watch weird shit that was made in the 70s.
It was pretty weird.
You know what I mean? Like, it's more entertaining to watch that than it is to
I'm not
watch
saying I didn't enjoy it.
gobbledygook Aquaman.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but I would rather watch Aquaman than watch this.
All right.
Can you believe it? Once again, we're on different sides of the ring post. All right, then. True or false trivia. Would you like some DL?
I would love to.
Ugh. Fantastic.
I know
All right.
nothing about this film, so I'm screwed here.
Well, one of them I think I might have already given away, but you're gonna like this one. Tim Burton got one of his first breaks in the movie industry as an animator on this movie. True or false?
True.
It is true. He was not credited, but worked as an in-between artist, and it was one of his first jobs in movies. I love that. Tim
Cool.
Burton, I can totally imagine Tim Burton doing this.
Yeah.
Creepy, weird.
Yeah, just being like, oh, let me get on this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised Helena
Lord of
Bonham
the
Carter's
Rings
not in it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this was actually Peter Jackson's second encounter with Lord of the Rings, as he'd already read the books, but liked this as an influence for his movies. True or false?
This was his second encounter with. Oh, true.
It's actually his first encounter with Lord of the Rings.
This was.
This was his
First. You're saying
encounter with Lord of
it
the
like in
Rings.
sequential order.
As in, yeah.
Yeah. Then I would have said.
he saw
then
this
I said
before
it
he
was
read
false.
the books.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit up top, but also this movie did have some like direct, influences on those movies. The Hobbit's hiding from the Black Rider, the Proud Feats. We talked about it. Directly stolen, Peter. Stealing stuff. Not cool, Pete.
Appreciation.
Not cool. All right. Final one then. Director Ralph Bakshi had originally planned to use Deep Purple for the music for this movie, but was unable to get the rights.
False.
It is false. It was actually Led Zeppelin. So, interestingly, Led Zeppelin band members are known to be huge fans of the books. And several of their songs are actually influenced by The Lord of the Rings. Misty Mountaintop, Over the Hill and Far Away, etc., etc.
They just said, nah, we don't want to.
They couldn't get the rights. Yeah. Too much cashola.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford. Well, ultimately, I enjoyed going back to this. It's been a long time since I watched this. I probably, maybe not 30, maybe 25 years.
Wow.
Fucking terrifying
That
coming
is
back
weird.
to it. I'm still scared
There's
by
some
it.
weird movies that I would like to go back to that I watched in my youth. So this is making me try and think of those.
That could be another one of our famous segments.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's put that in there too. Give me an
in
example.
the shared
of one.
note list.
Give me an example.
The Page Master.
Ooh, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I've never seen. What's the one with the big flying dog dragon thing?
Oh, you mean the Never-Ending Story?
Yeah, never seen it.
I don't think I ever saw it either.
Never seen it, don't care.
Yeah.
Do you care?
I'd watch it. I did watch part of it. I don't remember any of it.
I never saw The Goonies.
The Goonies is watchable. It's worth watching just because of some of the ridiculous.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Like there's just some things in there you're like, what?
All right, let's wrap this up then. Finally for the day then. Do you want some correspondence, DL?
Let's hear the correspondence before I wrap up the pod. Let's do it.
We got a couple of little bits, and I've already ruined one of them, which was friend of the show, Bertie,
At
sending
least
over
one.
the Secret Invasion trailer. No, we've got a couple of good bits this week. Friend of the show, Chris, wrote in this week, and he says, "Please tell me you've been watching a Sandman on Netflix." He actually
Jesus
says in all
Christ.
capitals. He says, "Please tell me you're watching Sandman on Netflix."
Man's
And
afraid it's gonna get canceled.
I'm pretty sure it's not getting a second season.
Yeah, man's
But
afraid.
It was he said he loves it. He said he so close to the graphic novels, which I completely agree. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's phenomenal. Like, really well done. And then they put like this random extra episode at the end as well. They were like, well, the show's done, but here's another
Did they
episode.
actually cancel it?
I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna try watching it for you, Chris.
I think you should.
I honestly, there's so much on to compete with it.
Well, you can watch in between episodes of House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings coming out. There's plenty of stuff you can watch.
I know.
Final then, a little bit of correspondence was from friend of the show, Matt, who sent us a meme. We're back to memes, baby.
Love
it's
the
not really a
memes.
meme. It's kind of like one of those, I don't know how to explain it. What it is it's taking all of the characters from the MCU and trying to liken them to a character from the DC universe. So, for example, it says, who would you cast Chris Evans as in the DC universe?
I don't know. Who would you?
Superman, of course. Like, he looks like Superman. He's got
No, he
the
doesn't.
vibe.
He's
He's
like
not got the dark
blonde,
hair,
yeah.
but he's got the charisma. He's got the same. Well, this is going through, and
I guess that makes sense personality-wise.
personality-wise, he basically says, "What do we think about these choices?" Then I'll give you the first couple. Robert Downey Jr. as Batman.
Yep, knew that was coming.
That was an obvious one.
Yeah.
We have Scarlett Johansson as Wonder Woman. I'm not as taken with that one. I'm not.
She's blonde, but
Yeah, not for me. I'm not scared that one. Aquaman is Chris Hemsworth, of course.
that could work.
Yeah, it also has Tom Holland as Robin. But
That works as well. He's kind of like bouncy and small.
Oh, like, come on, dude. Another good one would be Elizabeth Olsen as Harley Quinn.
Yes.
I like that one. And friend of the show, Matt, said his favorite is Dave Bautista as Bane. And I can see that. I don't like Dave Bautista particularly as an actor, but I can see that being pretty good.
It works.
Well, thank you, friend of the show, Matt, friend of the show, Bertie, and friend of the show, Chris. We genuinely love it when you guys send us stuff. Where can they find us, dear?
They can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble at gmail.com.
They can. Want to wrap up the show?
Yeah, we do love it when you send us stuff. We love it when you give us a rating. We
do.
still haven't gotten a rating, so
Thank
I
you
can't
for
read it out
listening,
loud. Yeah,
guys.
thank you for listening, but just fucking give us a rating, man.
I haven't checked.
I need to, dude, don't call me out. I haven't checked. I was just like really
Give us some ratings, guys.
Really negging them into doing this.
You've read the game.
But I really, really do appreciate it. We love you all our listeners. Thank you, Lockie, for all your hard work. And really, I guess until next time.
Tally ho.
Tally ho.